If you like to drive around and talk about the latest happenings, this is the channel you need. So subscribe and follow Carmentary.
Carmentary time, everybody. What's up? What's happening? Glad to have you back with us here on the channel. Time for another quick episode as I make my way back to the studio. I've been in the editing studio yesterday, and today again we are making a commercial. I'm editing the commercial for the Risutsu Resort summer ad campaign here in Hokkaido, Japan, and that'll be debuting on TV channels here on the island July the 10th. Please look forward to that. In the meantime, today's topic, a recent article that I saw on the web. The G20 is happening now and for the rest of this year here in Japan. A variety of meetings. We're even having a big G20 meeting here in Hokkaido in the town of Kuchan for the tourism ministers. But the big one happened last week in Osaka. Trump was here, a bunch of other world leaders and generally evil people gathered to have their little meeting. And this story came out on the web about how Japan is the number 2 producer and user of single-use plastics. So this was kind of a little story. I don't know how it was actually covered at the G20, but the story I read was just saying that, you know, maybe other countries are kind of like, yo, Japan, she got too much plastic, you're packaging everything, We do bad stuff too. We like the way you buy our oil, but the single plastic use, people don't like that. So they're kind of picking on him a little bit, and it became a bit of a story. Whoa, where's my camera going here? Hold on. This is something that, you know, I've lived in Japan now 30 years, and I've been here so long, and it becomes so commonplace to see how everything is packaged. Single-use plastics basically means a piece of plastic that's only has one use. So wrappers, little packaging things that as soon as you buy the product, you take it home, you take it out of the plastic wrapping and you throw it away, and that's the end of it. So obviously the most wasteful kind of plastic, I understand that, and it's tricky because it's really become a part of the culture. Japan originally, back in the days, used a thing called Furoshiki. And a Furoshiki is a fantastic concept. It's a piece of cloth, generally square piece of cloth, varying sizes and varying prints. They're quite beautiful and really elegant. And they would use that to wrap up things. So maybe you had a gift. You were going to someone's house, you were taking a small gift. You would tie it up in the Furoshiki. You would get to the house, you would present them with the gift. They would untie the cloth, accept the gift, and then you would take the cloth home. So it's a multi-use Furoshiki. It's not a single use. So, you know, ecologically sound, right? Really, really smart. This is obviously something they came up with before there was plastics. So I think Japan had that culture to start with where you really kind of, you know, it's common and accepted and almost demanded that, you know, to be polite and, you know, you should wrap things up until they're needed and then people can unwrap them. It's like this, it makes it extra nice. So it's not just like a raw, you know, here's a box of cookies. It's like, ooh, what is it? It's hidden. Oh, take off the Furoshiki. Wow. Sorry, folks. I'm getting a little excited here. So that was the culture, the roots of the culture. And I think when plastics came in and they realized, you know, they could then basically put a Furoshiki on friggin' everything. So you could have a Furoshiki on the box of cookies. Then you got the box. Then you pull out the box and there's 2 individual plastic trays that are wrapped. And then you open that. And then within each tray you have 10 cookies. And each cookie is individually wrapped in its own little mini Furoshiki made out of plastic. Brilliant! they freaked out. They fell in love with that idea, and they were like, yeah, not only is it perfectly fitting with our culture, but it's sanitary, it's super clean. It's like, if a cookie tray just has all the cookies in there, it's like one person takes a cookie, they're gonna touch the next cookie a little bit with their fingernail, right? You're gonna pick one up, you're gonna touch the next cookie. So the next guy, he's gonna get a cookie that's already been touched a little bit. Unacceptable. Can't have that. Don't touch my cookies. So basically, Japan really went overboard with the wrapping concept. Now, I don't know exactly when that started. This could have been way back when. But ever since I've been here, it's been a common thing, and any foreigner, West European, American, whatever, comes to Japan, they all comment on that. Like, why is everything so wrapped up? You go to the convenience store, you got bananas for sale, which is like one of the few fresh items that is sold in a convenience store. You might have some apples, some bananas. It's usually about it. And you'll have a bunch of bananas, like 3 bananas or 5 bananas, and they'll be in a plastic wrapper. And then you'll have like individual bananas, and a banana will also be in its own individual plastic wrapper. And that's the kind of thing that, I think the Western mind goes, do we really need the plastic for the banana? It's got this, germ-proof, amazing skin naturally. That's the way it's grown. And you can just take off, you're peeling off the natural wrapper to eat the banana inside. Why do we need to protect the skin that we're going to throw away anyway? Right? That's, I think, where people get like, what's going on? So, okay. Agreed. And obviously that was the point of the article. Japan needs to change this, needs to grow past these single-use products. Living here, the thing I see and the problem I think exists is that there's no choice, first of all, for the consumer. Usually you'd say, okay, consumers, you got to stop buying all the stuff that's in the single-use plastics. And then the production will change. They'll adjust to what the consumer wants. That's how the free market economy works. Boom! Well, unfortunately, there is no choice. There are only bananas in plastic wrappers. If there were bananas not in plastic wrappers, you could choose. But it's just, there's no choice. It's all wrapped up. So, you gotta eat a banana. You gotta buy one in the plastic. You don't have a choice. So, how do we go about this? Well, I saw recently the big thing in the news. In America, restaurants, bars, different places are banning the use of straws, plastic straws. Paper straws, I guess, are okay. Why did this come about? Because of a viral video on Twitter or YouTube or somewhere. Some people on a boat somewhere pulled a turtle out of the ocean, and it had a plastic straw stuck up its nose, and they pulled it out with some pliers, relieving the turtle of from its misery, having this plastic straw stuck up its nose. So that was kind of like, I guess that went really viral. Everybody freaked out, and then suddenly people were like, oh, we gotta stop plastic straws. Which, yeah, great thing. I don't think that solves the entire problem. It's a little band-aid on a much bigger cut. But, better than nothing, right? So it was the force of the kind of social media and, people seeing how terrible these things can be. That forced some change. So, okay, that could happen in Japan, I suppose. If there was, the turtle video, I don't know if anybody even knows about that in Japan or cares. I think it's kind of one of those localized social media phenomenons, It's not a globally viral video. But maybe something like that could happen in Japan where people would go, oh, hey, this single-use plastic stuff, this is terrible. We're killing all those fish that we love so much. Let's stop using this stuff. Okay, but that leads us to another problem. and this is more like about people and culture, social media in Japan really doesn't kind of work the way social media does in, for example, America. In America, it's a lot about, talking about issues and problems and politics and opinions, and those guys suck. And even the newest one is the example of Taylor Swift, popular artist, who went on the social media last couple days and was something about the rights of her music being bought by someone who she said she was bullied by. And it's kind of like this little public feud going on. And it's a great example of American culture. It's like, if you want to literally get someone, these days you got to go on your social media and you kind of blast them, You bullied me. Blah, 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 blah. And then everybody gets, they get into it. It's a big fight, big public fight. Japan, it's very different. It's very muted. I think it's more subtle. I'm not saying those things don't happen, but in general, you don't see people like making, tons and tons of posts about their personal political leanings or feelings about, eco-consciousness, etc. So most of the social media really here is, I had ramen for dinner last night. It was so good. Oh, we went to yakiniku. Look at the meat that I ate. Wow. It's more like that kind of social media. It's a light version. There's not a lot of heated opinions going on. So people kind of feel reserved in posting those real opinionated pieces or even sharing them. I don't, in my Instagram feed, see a lot of like stuff shared from other news sources. It's more really about personal stuff, like what people had for dinner. So is it going to be easy to get people to, put that stuff out and say, hey, we got to stop these single-use plastics. Let's change Japan for the better? Tricky. Real tricky. In closing, I don't really have a great answer, but it would be cool to see some kind of a movement going on to make this more talked about, whether that's through social media, hashtags, news stories, whatever. Done from the inside here in Japan. Maybe it's expats who are conscious of the problem, can all get together and start talking about it more. I know some do. Maybe if you know some good examples, you can share that with me. And my last thought was, maybe there could be a movement. This would be a great way to instigate some change. If you could get everybody in Japan, foreign, Japanese, whatever, anybody interested out of the conscious, and you went out and do your shopping. And for like a week, instead of taking home all the products you bought and opening up all the package and throwing away that plastic, you actually like did that at the store. Like you bought, filled up your grocery bag or whatever, check out, and right there they have garbage cans inside of all the supermarkets and convenience stores. You can actually like open up all that unnecessary single-use plastic stuff, take it off and throw it away or leave it in a pile there at the store. And maybe we could like hashtag that and take photos or something. And if enough, I'm talking, it can't be like 10 people doing it. No big deal. It's got to be a lot of people. But if everyone did that and suddenly the stores were kind of overwhelmed with all this packaging and they were the ones who had to like deal with it and throw it away, then that's one step closer to the actual producers of the packaging. And they might say, hey, everybody's throwing all this plastic away in our stores. It's a real pain in the butt. Can you guys stop? Maybe they don't like the packaging anymore. Can you guys stop putting everything in these wrappers? Things like that. I think in Japan, change coming from the consumers is kind of a long way off. It needs to really, the producers and the people creating these things, the package designers, marketers, etc., need to be hit over the head with a club. and go, oh, okay, we got to make some change here quick. And then we might see some change. All right, let me know what your ideas are. Always look forward to the comments, and hope we can keep the conversation going. As always, it's good having these one-way conversations with you. Oh, well, they're not completely. If you comment, it becomes two-way, so please leave a comment. All right, I'm almost at my destination. Have a good day. Safe drive. Drive safe, right?
If you like to drive around and talk about the latest happenings, this is the channel you need. So subscribe and follow Carmentary.